Hello and welcome to Fintech Focus TV with me, Toby, and today delighted to be joined by Caroline from Lifetise. Caroline, how are you doing?
Hi, really good, thank you.
Excellent. Listen, congratulations. You are on the list of the most influential fintechs. You've also been on the power list from Innovate Finance over the last couple of days, the top 35 there too. So good times for the business and you, huh?
It has been a good week.
A good week.
And you don't always get to say that as an early stage startup.
And you guys started 2015, am I right?
Yeah, so we came up with a concept in 2015, but in terms of kind of products out in market, really sort of from late 2017, 2018.
So exciting times for
you.
Yeah. Tell us a little bit about it. Tell us about the company.
So we are a life planning platform. Mm-hmm. We basically help people work out how to afford the important things in life. Yeah. So buying a home, starting a family, and the overall mission is for us to help people with life decisions from leaving school all the way through to retirement.
And where did that all come from?
So we basically looked around and we saw that we've got a whole generation of people who've come out of uni with student debt, house prices are crazy, are we ever going to retire? Yeah. And we looked and we said, there's a lot of people who need financial advice, but they're not getting it in a form that kind of reflects their reality.
Yeah. And that sort of came through from a background of you looking at that sort of thing, or was it just you decided, right, we want to look at something? Or
it was really personal. So we basically looked at it. We saw our friends struggling. Yeah. We saw that we weren't necessarily able to get onto the property ladder, and just the fact that people's life goals seem to be a bit delayed. Yeah. All of a sudden, I think our parents' generation, everything they got to do in their 20s, we were now looking at 30s or beyond when we were being able to kind of hit those things. Yeah. And so it came from quite a personal thing, looking at our friends, and then we did a ton of customer research at the beginning. So we sat and we talked to people. Often it was like therapy sessions, they go on for like an hour or so, and we just saw that the same things were coming up again and again. People had a lot of anxiety around how do they afford their lives. And we thought, okay, here's an opportunity.
And that opportunity has sort of manifested itself. You've sort of grown the business organically so far, is that right? Or?
Yeah, so we've self-funded until now. We're actually currently crowdfunding, but until now it's just been me, my co-founder, and we've got a small team, and everything's grown organically. Last year we were part of Accenture's Fintech Accelerator, which was very exciting. But really we've been really focused on making sure that what we build is right for customers. So we do a ton of work talking to people. We really come at it from the human individual side of it rather than the pure finance side.
Sure. And this crowdfunding thing that's ready now, what's prompting that? What's attractive about that? Tell us a little bit about it. Why should people get involved?
Well, so it's really interesting. So we always had crowdfunding as part of our investment plan because we're a consumer biz, right? Everything we're building is to help people be more financially secure. It's all about people. And so we thought, okay, we've got some great fintech investors who are coming in as angels, which is amazing. Great to have that credibility, great to have their experience on board. But we also wanted ordinary people to be able to invest. So we've done it. So we're live on Cedars. So you can find us on there. And it's really about letting anyone who wants to be part of our journey. And that's really nice for me personally.
I can absolutely imagine that. And so getting people involved, and then looking at this and saying that this is what I know you've been doing some work on this recently and videos and such, all of that sort of thing. Tell us a little bit about why it's so attractive for people to get involved on that journey with you.
I think we're building for them, right? And the more people we can get involved and the more stories we hear about what they want from us, the more we can make sure that everything we're building actually does what they need it to. So you always think, you're there building, but you don't want to build in a bubble. And I think sometimes that can happen in companies and in fintech. There are baked in assumptions around what people want. We want to make sure that we're actually talking to customers and we've got customers kind of in the decision-making process with us so that every product that we build is to solve a particular problem for them. So by getting involved in the crowdfund, they can tell us what they want us to build. They can make sure we're building the right things. They can follow our journey easily. And they just feel invested in us.
It's an amazing thing, that, isn't it? So if you look at, there's a huge diversity on this year's list. So you've got from all the way through from capital markets to all sorts of payments and businesses like yours who are sort of providing real solutions to real problems in the marketplace. And that sort of breadth of fintech, I think, is such an interesting area. Now the interesting part alongside that is the judges have seen that sort of diversity in the marketplace, and there are common threads, however, no matter which of those areas that are in, that make up the best companies. And I think you've already highlighted on a few of those. That I say it in a number of these interviews, we're talking about real problems and real solutions to people. And I think the thing that you've just already said, that I'm feeding this a little a little bit, is that sort of customer centric. There's so many businesses in the fintech ecosystem who aren't necessarily thinking purely through the eyes of the end user. It seems like your journey is very much driven by that, right?
It really is, and do you know what? I think it partly helps. So my co-founder has got a finance background, but I don't.
Okay.
So I'm actually a lawyer by training.
Are you? Okay.
Yeah, and I've worked in fashion and advertising, and I've worked for other technology companies. And so I think as an outsider, I don't have all of those baked in things. I don't have that. So I'm able to put myself in the shoes of the customers. I'm able to talk to customers. I don't have any of the baggage that might come from having been in that world in the first place.
That sort of hubris of this is how we should do it.
Sort of like that institutional.
That's a really interesting aspect, isn't it? And it's and you're right. And that legal side of things, I guess, gives you a different viewpoint again. In addition,
it really does.
I think it's the second time I've spoken to a fintech founder from a legal background in the last week, actually. Interestingly enough. So it seems to be a much more common sort of route as well. Yeah,
it didn't used to be. You know, so although I am a lawyer by training, I went into business quite early on. So I did quite a lot of commercial roles in the fashion industry and stuff. So I always said that for a lawyer, I was a very good business person. I was never a lawyerly lawyer. And I'm an intellectual property lawyer by background, so technology and stuff like that has always been...
Very actually the same as this other guy.
Interesting. So I think once you have that crossover and you're working with those kind of companies already, and I've worked with, you know, big multinational tech companies and also sort of startups going into scale-ups. So that is incredibly helpful, because as a lawyer you get to see everything behind the scenes. So you get to see all the operational side, you get to see all the commercial side, so then when you come to build your own thing, you've kind of seen it, and then you can start to do it yourself.
Know the pitfalls.
Exactly.
And that's another thing which the judges look for, is that founding team and the diversity of the founding team, and where where that sort of different thinking can come into it. What else do you think that you guys would have stood out for? What else do you think would have been particularly prevalent to the judging
previously panel? It probably would have been my purple hair until I got rid of that.
I was expecting when I came in from LinkedIn.
I know, I'm disappointing everybody at the moment. They're like, oh, you've replaced her with some corporate woman. I decided whilst we were investing that I should probably look a little bit more like a grown-up.
It's coming back though, right?
It might come back. It's quite high maintenance. But I think probably... I mean, the highlights for us really were getting on that Accenture program, because, you know, we're a consumer business, and being able to then go into a program which focuses more on B2B, but have access to all of the banks and the insurance companies, and be able to tell them what we were doing, and we got such an incredible response from them. You know, they also see that we're solving a gap for them. You know, that how do we educate this generation of consumers about financial services in a way that makes sense to them. So that was nice, because that was pure validation from the industry.
Exactly what you wanted.
Yeah.
And how did the Accenture thing come about? Was that selection or application?
So we were invited to apply by them. I guess somebody had spotted us somewhere. And so because
it had been right in their sweet spot, wouldn't it, for what they want to do?
I think that's right. And I think the way that the Accenture program is set up is it's all of the financial institution partners are part of the program, and so they select the fintechs who then are on the program. So the selection process isn't Accenture; it's actually all of their banking and other partners. And so you have a pitch day where you pitch to them, and then they whittle down however many hundred applicants.
Obviously, well,
I don't mind pitching. I'm like, it's really interesting. I find pitching to a room full of people sometimes easier than doing sort of one-on-one things.
Apologies for that.
No, it's fine. I'm getting used to it. No, it was good. It was an interesting room. They asked challenging questions. You know, they know their stuff. They know what they want as potential partners for you. So really, really on point questions, but actually a very friendly room, and incredibly well run by Accenture. And then the whole program was like that again. So access to fantastic mentors who had, you know, really, really incredible industry experience. And for an outsider like me, having someone to help you navigate the world of, you know, big insurance companies, big banks is hugely valuable. We just really enjoyed it.
And that's where your angels came from, was it? Through that network?
For some of them, yeah. So that's I think that was really the catalyst. You know, some of these things, they call them accelerators, but you're never sure what you're going to get, whereas this one genuinely accelerated us. You know, we went from, I guess, being relatively unknown within the industry to suddenly having all of these very senior relationships with all these financial institutions, and I'm talking, very senior relationships, and you just wouldn't be able to get that yourself.
Yeah, and that's sort of has given you the platform now for this crowdfunding.
Yes.
Tell us what that means for you guys. What's the plan with that?
Going from, we've been self-funded, and we've managed to achieve an awful lot. Through self-funding, but now we're at the stage where we've got customers.
There's got to be very few, hasn't there, that have gone as far
Fintech,
as you have without that investment.
Yeah, I think that's right. And we did it deliberately in a sense because we realised very early on that what we wanted to build, consumers weren't quite ready for it. So, if we think we came up with a concept in sort of 2015, there was no Monzo, there was no Starling, so challenger banks didn't exist. The digital sort of capability of banking was much lower. People just weren't as used to using these type of apps to manage their money. It seems crazy now.
That's 5 years ago.
But there was no open banking. The only way that you could actually get customers' transaction data was by screen scraping it, and they'd have to give you their password. And of course, we went out with some early prototypes, and we said to people, so would you give us your passwords? And unanimously they said absolutely not.
Well, they used to do those things on the street, didn't they, where they tried to trick people into giving their passwords.
So it was basically that's what people thought we were doing. Their banks have been waging campaigns for years saying never ever give out your password, and then here comes a little fintech saying, no, but please.
Trust us.
Just trust us. So we realised that we couldn't do that. So we've had to be quite patient about it. But then self-funding, that has worked because that is patient capital. And now, we're looking to raise money now because we've got lots of customers who want features, and we need to grow. This is the point in time that allows us then to accelerate growth. We can hire more engineers. We can start building out. So we've currently got products which help you buy a home and help you with the cost of childcare. And now we want to add things for here's how to plan a wedding, here's how to pay down your debt. So being able to model as much of your life as you want over like a 5, 10, 20-year time period and see how it all fits together. To do that, we need capital.
No, this is an interesting area of fintech, and there's more and more companies that are, I guess you could probably badge it under. How would you badge it? Responsible fintech, or?
So we kind of fall within that for good. The broader category. We are a for-profit. We are there to make money, but there is a financial education piece to what we're doing. We want to help people make sense of their money. And like I say, there are a lot of fintechs in sort of the PFM space, so personal financial management space, who've done great things around showing people how they're spending their money. But there's this massive gap, and also showing people where their money sits in different accounts, which is very helpful. Massive gap still around, okay, I can see how much I'm spending. I can see where my money lives. What am I supposed to do with it? What am I doing with it?
The how.
What should I do? So that's the bit where we fit in.
Excellent. And that becomes an interesting area in itself. I mean, look, there's so many different routes and pathways that you can go down, as you say, productizing and giving different solutions to your customers there. Tell us about what comes next. So you've got this growth.
Yes.
It's domestic, I presume?
So far. We've started with the UK because it's the market that we know best, and there's actually a huge opportunity here because it's a market that isn't even being served. So we're starting on our own doorstep, but ultimately the goal is to template what we're doing for US, Australia, Far East. There's
some big markets.
Do you know what? Pretty much everywhere in the world, there's a need for it because pretty much everywhere, in at least the Western world, people are struggling to understand what to do with their money. They're struggling with affordability. There's similar problems in other countries around housing costs and childcare costs. The only place, and it was really interesting on the Accenture program, the only place where we had a more lukewarm response to it was in Scandinavian countries.
Is that right?
Because they have such a strong social welfare state that they don't have any of the issues that we do. So childcare is free, university is effectively free, housing costs are kept within reasonable ranges, so they don't have such a big need for us.
It is an amazing place out there, isn't it? The way to do things, and where schooling starts and the response rates of that and the hours of it, I find it fascinating. That's a whole nother, we won't go down that rabbit hole. there's a whole show on that.
There is, I think there is. Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about the marketplace. Look, you talk about that area of fintech for good. What would you love to see? What would you love to see in the fintech space at the moment?
I'm actually really happy because I'm seeing a lot of companies that are this kind of hybrid thing where they've got really strong commercials, but they're also thinking about how does this impact actual people. And so we've seen there's some other brilliant companies who are doing things around helping people with debt, helping people who are sort of on the fringes of, you know, the unbanked and those who have less financial capability. And our goal really with Lifetise is we want to be the platform that can then signpost customers to other fintechs or other providers of services that we don't provide ourselves. So we want to be that layer that shows people what to do. Show people what to do with their money. And if there's another company doing great work in a particular space, you know, if we get customers coming through who are struggling with debt, and there's a great fintech, then we will plug that in and plug in their functionality and help signpost them.
That sort of communal work and collaboration, I think, is becoming more and more a feature of the whole fintech space, all the way through from the big banks through to startups and other businesses, and it's great to see, isn't it? Because financial services for years has been so closed. And the ability to link businesses like that and to see those opportunities, I think, is a trend that we'll see more. Well, we're seeing collaboration probably being the order of play for 18 months at least now. But I think there's so much more that can grow out of that too.
I agree. I think it's on both sides. So I think we're just starting to get to maturity in terms of the bigger financial institutions working out how to work with fintechs without swallowing them.
Well, that's the other side of it. It's been definitely self-interested at various stages.
And I, in my view, the end goal is sort of worth it. It's going to be a little bit like this as to how things get solved, right? You're not going to figure it all out on day one. But I've seen, certainly in the last sort of year or so, I've definitely seen greater maturity, greater understanding between incumbents and fintechs in terms of how they can work together, structuring those partnerships, making it work for both sides. But equally, it has to happen. You need to have this full ecosystem, and you need to have companies that can be the connectors from the consumer side. Because otherwise, what most fintechs suffer from is discoverability. How do people even hear about them? So you have all of these fintechs trying to do their own customer acquisition, having to spend a ton of money to acquire customers. And it's really, really hard. Whereas what we need is more of these sort of partnerships and joining the dots for consumers on who's doing what, what's the benefit for them. It should be.
Oh, it's I find it so fascinating in how it can all come together, and such huge potential around it as well. And I know there's going to be people who are watching at this and thinking, right, I want to get involved in that sort of stuff as well. So, look, you mentioned it beforehand, but for anyone watching back at home at the moment, at their desk or wherever it might be, they want to get involved in this. What's the best route to do that?
So they can find us at lifetise.com. If they want to check out our crowdfunding campaign, that's at cedars.com/Lifetise. On pretty much every social media platform, we are Lifetise, so you can very easily find us. We're very out there.
So listen, that's awesome. Please do get on there and look at all that sort of stuff. Go into the treasure trove of online information about the company. Look, it sounds such an amazing, such an exciting time. Well done, and congratulations on a brilliant business. It sounds like even more exciting stuff's to come. Look, I look forward to seeing the growth of the business. Thanks for joining us.
Oh, thank you so much.
Thanks to all of you for watching. We'll see you soon on another episode of FinTech Focus TV. Thanks a lot.